You're standing in your living room at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and you're tracking a package. Not just any package. Your third package this week. The USPS app shows it's 17 stops away. 16, 15. Your thumb refreshes the screen every 43 seconds, even though you know the app will notify you. That little surge you feel right now, that electrical buzz running through your chest, that's not excitement, that's dopamine. And it's hijacking your bank account. Here's the thing. That dopamine hit you're chasing isn't happening when the box arrives. It already happened. It happened the moment you clicked buy now, the moment you added it to your cart, the moment you started scrolling. Your brain released the chemical, collected its reward, and now you're just waiting, chasing the memory of a high that already peaked. Let me show you what's actually happening inside your skull. Every time you shop, your brain releases dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in cocaine addiction, gambling, and every other behavior that makes humans go just one more time. But here's what most people get wrong about dopamine. It's not the pleasure chemical. It's the anticipation chemical. Stanford researchers confirmed this back in 2023, and it's been blowing up in neuroscience circles ever since. Dopamine doesn't make you feel good when you get the thing. It makes you feel good when you think you're about to get the thing. That's why tracking the package feels better than opening it. That's why scrolling through products at 2 a.m. feels better than actually owning them. Your brain evolved this system to keep you alive, to make you hunt, to make you forage, to make you seek out resources when resources were scarce. But in 2026, resources aren't scarce. You've got 17 shopping apps on your phone. You've got TikTok Shop generating over $66 billion in global sales this year. You've got Amazon, Shein, Temu, and 47 other platforms engineered by teams of PhDs whose entire job is to trigger that dopamine loop as many times as possible per session. And it's working. Americans spent a record-breaking $20 billion using buy now, pay later services just during the 2025 holiday season, November to December alone. That's up from previous years. And we're not even talking about regular credit card purchases. Credit card debt hit 1.28 trillion augers at the end of 2025. That's trillion. With a T. The average American carrying a balance now owes $7,886 on their credit cards, and that number jumped 2.8% in just 1 year. Meanwhile, the personal savings rate dropped to 3.5% as of November 2025. 3.5%. You know what that means? For every 100 dollars you earn, you're saving $30.50. The rest is going to bills, rent, groceries, and yeah, stuff you're buying at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. But wait, let's talk about the math nobody shows you. Let's say you're spending $200 a month on what I call dopamine purchases. You know the ones I'm talking about, the skincare routine you saw on TikTok, the adjustable dumbbells because you're definitely going to start working out, the candles, the throw pillows, the fourth black t-shirt, because this one fits different. $200 a month doesn't sound insane, right? That's like $7 a day, a latte and a muffin. No big deal. Wrong. $200 a month is $2,400 a year. That's a vacation. That's 3 months of rent in some cities. That's a used car. But let me show you what it actually costs, because the real number will make you nauseous. If you took that $200 a month and invested it in a basic index fund averaging 8% annual returns, which is conservative based on historical market performance, here's what happens over 30 years, $297,000. Not $72,000, which is what you spent, $297,000. That's the power of compound interest. That's your money making money while you sleep. But instead, it's sitting in your closet with the tags still on. That's not a gap. That's a chasm. And I need you to understand, this isn't about shaming you. This is about the system you're fighting. Because you're not weak, you're not stupid, you're not bad with money. You're a human being with a 200,000-year-old brain trying to navigate an environment that was literally designed in the last 20 years to exploit that brain's wiring. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah's a composite of dozens of people who've sent me DMs, but her story is real. She's 29, makes $62,000 a year working in marketing, and she spent $11,400 on non-essentials in 2025. She didn't realize it until she went through her credit card statements in January 2026. $11,400. She thought maybe she'd spent like $3 grand, maybe 4. The number floored her. Where'd it go? $340 a month on TikTok shop purchases, little things, 5 to 30 bucks each, but they added up. $180 a month on coffee and takeout she didn't plan for. $95 a month on subscription services she forgot she had. $150 a month on Target runs where she went in for toilet paper and came out with $87 worth of stuff. That's not even counting the 2,100 hijacks she spent on a trip she put on a credit card and is still paying off at 24.99% APR. Here's what killed her. She genuinely couldn't remember half the items she bought. The dopamine hit faded, the packages arrived, got opened, got put somewhere, and then nothing. No lasting satisfaction, no life improvement, just stuff and debt. This is what I call the dopamine debt cycle. You buy something to feel better. The dopamine spikes, you feel good for 11 minutes. Then you're back to baseline. But now you've got less money, so you feel worse. So you buy something else to feel better. The dopamine spikes again, you feel good for 11 minutes. Then you're back to baseline. But now you've got even less money, so you feel even worse. It's a tightening spiral, and the floor is bankruptcy. The system knows this. The companies know this. That's why buy now, pay later exploded. 41% of BNPL users paid late on at least one payment in 2025, up from 34% the year before. These aren't people being irresponsible. These are people living paycheck to paycheck who needed a $60 pair of jeans and couldn't swing it up front. So they split it into 4 payments of $15, which sounds manageable until you've got 17 different 4-payment plans running simultaneously, and you can't remember which one auto-drafts on which day. And by the way, BNPL isn't free money. The average BNPL loan is $135 over 6 weeks. The charge-off rate, meaning the percentage of loans that go unpaid, was 1.83% in 2023 and climbing. These companies are profitable because most people pay. But if you're in that percentage that doesn't, you're hit with fees that make credit cards look generous. And it all starts with that dopamine hit, that frictionless pay later button that doesn't feel like spending because you're not losing money right now. Retailers know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason TikTok shop sales are projected to hit over $20 billion in the US alone in 2026. It's not because people suddenly need more stuff. It's because TikTok engineered an environment where shopping is content, and content is shopping. You're not browsing a store. You're watching entertainment that has a buy now button embedded in the dopamine hit. The video makes you laugh. The creator seems trustworthy. The product is only $14.99. You click. Dopamine. You buy. Dopamine. The package arrives in 3 days. Mild dopamine. You forget about it in 3 weeks. No dopamine. Let me be clear, I'm not anti-shopping. I'm anti-spending money. You don't have on things you don't need because a corporation reverse-engineered your neurochemistry. Here's the other psychological trap nobody talks about: hedonic adaptation. It's the fancy term for why that thing you wanted so badly for 3 months stops mattering 3 days after you get it. Your brain is wired to return to baseline. It's why lottery winners aren't permanently happier a year after winning. It's why that $200 couch you finance stops feeling special the moment your butt gets used to the cushions. Your brain adapts, the high fades, and now you're scanning for the next thing to buy. Meanwhile, let's talk about what you're actually sacrificing. The median bank account balance for Americans under 35 is $5,400. For people aged 65 to 74, it's $13,400. Those aren't typos. That's median, meaning half of people in those age groups have less than that. The Federal Reserve's latest report shows that 37% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 emergency expense without borrowing money or selling something. That's $400. 1 car repair, 1 urgent care visit, 1 busted phone screen. But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. A huge chunk of these same people are spending $400 a month on random purchases they'll forget about in 6 weeks. It's not that they can't afford the emergency. It's that they've dopamine spent their way into a corner where the buffer they should have is tied up in Amazon boxes and buy now, pay later installments. This is what I mean by the invisible math. Every dollar you spend on a dopamine hit isn't just a dollar gone. It's a dollar that can't multiply. It's not sitting in an emergency fund protecting you from disaster. It's not in an index fund compounding. It's not paying down debt that's charging you 24% interest. It's in a thing that depreciates the moment you buy it, a thing that might be in a landfill in 18 months. Let me walk you through the scarcity mindset trap, because this one's brutal. when you feel financially insecure, and in 2026, with inflation still gnawing at paychecks and rent eating 40% of take-home pay for millions of people, your brain defaults to short-term thinking. This is evolutionary. If you're a caveman who's hungry right now, you don't save berries for next winter. You eat the berries now, but in a modern economy, this instinct destroys you. Research on doom spending, yeah, that's a real term now, shows that people are increasingly buying stuff as a reaction to economic anxiety. The logic is, everything's getting more expensive, so I might as well buy it now before it costs even more. Or, the world's on fire, I'm never going to own a house anyway, so I might as well treat myself. It's not stupid, it's human. But it's also the exact spending behavior that locks you into the financial instability you're reacting to. Here's how you escape. And I'm not going to tell you to just budget better. I'm going to tell you what actually works first. Delay the dopamine hit. Not deny it. Delay it. When you see something you want to buy, don't click buy now. Screenshot it, save it to a list, set a reminder for 48 hours from now. If you still want it in 48 hours, cool, buy it. But here's what happens most of the time. The craving fades. The dopamine your brain released was in anticipation. Once the anticipation window closes, your brain stops caring. I've tested this myself. 70% of the stuff I wanted 2 days ago, I no longer want. Second, automate the alternative. You can't willpower your way out of a dopamine system. You need to automate good behavior so it happens before your lizard brain gets a vote. Set up an automatic transfer the day after you get paid. $50, $100, whatever you can swing, it goes straight to a high-yield savings account, which, by the way, you can get around 5% APY on right now if you shop around, or to an investment account. You don't see it. You don't touch it. It's gone before you can spend it. Third, audit your subscriptions and auto purchases. Pull up your bank account right now. Look at the last 3 months. I guarantee you're paying for at least 3 things you forgot you were paying for. Streaming services, gym memberships, app subscriptions, monthly shipments of something. The average American has about $95 a month in subscriptions they barely use. That's $1,140 a year. That's $34,000 over 30 years if you invest it instead. Kill the subscriptions. If you actually miss one, you can always resubscribe. Fourth, understand the difference between price and cost. That $14.99 thing on TikTok Shop has a price of $14.99, but it has a cost of the $14.99 you're not investing, which over 30 years at 8% growth becomes $150. Every single time you spend money, you're choosing between the thing and the future version of that money. I'm not saying never buy the thing, I'm saying be conscious that you're making a trade. Fifth, reframe the dopamine. This one's psychological, but it works. Instead of getting your dopamine hit from buying, train your brain to get it from saving. Watch the number in your savings account go up. Check your investment balance. There's a whole subreddit, r, financial independence, full of people who get a dopamine rush from watching their net worth increase. It's the same neurochemical system, you're just pointing it in a different direction. Sixth, block the triggers. Uninstall TikTok Shop, unsubscribe from promotional emails. Turn off notifications from retail apps. I'm serious, if you're an alcoholic, you don't keep whiskey in the house. If you're a dopamine shopper, you don't keep shopping apps one thumb tap away from your brain's reward center. Seventh, recognize retail therapy is a loan against your future. Every time you buy something to feel better, you're borrowing happiness from future you. And future you has to pay it back with interest, sometimes literal interest if you're using credit. There are healthier ways to regulate your emotions. Go for a walk, call a friend, journal, lift weights. I know that sounds like boring advice, but here's the thing. Those activities also release dopamine, and they don't cost $47.99 plus shipping. Here's the reality nobody wants to say out loud. You are in a war, and the enemy has a $200 billion annual R&D budget. Tech companies, retailers, financial services companies, they are all spending ungodly amounts of money to figure out how to get you to click buy. They're A/B testing button colors. They're optimizing loading speeds. They're deploying machine learning algorithms to figure out exactly which product to show you at exactly which time to maximize the chance you'll purchase. You're not fighting fair, and you can't win by being disciplined. You win by changing the environment. You win by automation. You win by removing the choice from your future self's hands. Let me tell you what happens if you don't fix this. because I want you to see the other side of the compound interest equation. If you're 30 years old right now and you're spending $300 a month on dopamine purchases, and you keep doing that for the next 35 years until you're 65, you'll have spent $126,000. That's already a horrifying number. But the actual cost is $676,000. That's what that money would have become if you'd invested it instead. That's not the down payment on a house. That's the whole house. That's retiring 7 years earlier. That's your kid's college tuition paid in full. That's never having to look at your bank account with that knot of anxiety in your stomach. You're trading all of that for stuff you'll donate to Goodwill in 4 years. Now let me show you the flip side, because if the bad math is scary, the good math is exhilarating. If you're 25 years old and you start investing $250 a month right now, money you're currently spending on random Amazon orders and DoorDash and just this one thing, by the time you're 65, you'll have $878,000. Not from some crazy investment scheme. Not from getting lucky with crypto. From consistently investing a number that's less than most people spend on eating out and impulse buys. You're not broke because you're bad at money. You're broke because your dopamine system is being weaponized against you by entities that have more behavioral scientists on payroll than you have friends on Instagram. So here's your move. Tomorrow morning, not next week, not after you get your finances in order. Tomorrow morning, do this. Open a high-yield savings account if you don't have one. Set up an automatic transfer for the day after payday. $50. That's it. You won't miss it. Then uninstall one shopping app. Just one. If that feels impossible, that's how you know you're hooked. Then track every non-essential purchase you make for 30 days. Not to judge yourself, just to see. Because Sarah thought she was spending $3,000 and it was actually $11,400. You can't fix what you can't see. The dopamine system isn't going away. Your brain's going to keep craving novelty and anticipation and that little electrical buzz. But you get to choose what triggers it. You can let corporations trigger it with buy now buttons, or you can trigger it yourself by watching your savings grow. Both release dopamine. One makes you richer, the other makes Bezos richer. Your call. One last thing. I know somebody reading this is thinking, but Nick, I work hard. I deserve to treat myself. And you're right. You do. But here's the question. Are you actually treating yourself, or are you medicating yourself? Because if you're buying things to numb financial anxiety, you're making the financial anxiety worse. That's not a treat, that's a trap. A real treat is buying something you planned for, saved for, and genuinely wanted after the dopamine faded. A real treat is having $10,000 in your savings account and knowing you could handle an emergency without spiraling. A real treat is watching your investment account grow and realizing you're 6 months closer to financial independence. That's the dopamine hit that doesn't fade. The math is brutal. The psychology is real. The system is rigged, but you're not powerless. You're just fighting the wrong battle. Stop trying to resist every individual purchase with willpower. Start automating good behavior and removing bad options. Build a buffer, build a future. Build a life where you're not tracking packages at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday because you're chasing a neurochemical high that disappeared the moment you clicked buy. Your brain wants dopamine. Give it something worth celebrating.